All right, I had a momentary glitch. So I guess I'm going to call the meeting to order. Do we need, are we ready to move on to action, to item number 2, the approve the agenda for this meeting?
Let's check with Allie, who's doing roll call. Allie, do you need folks to report in? Are you able to get that off of the chat? I mean, off of the folks' names in the Zoom?
I'm still working on it. It looks like we don't, based on my, Joaquin's also taking roll, but based on mine, it doesn't look like we have a quorum.
How about read off who you have, and then anyone else who wasn't listed can report in?
Sure. Joaquin, do you have a more full list than I do? I have about 5 people so far.
Yeah, I've got 8 orgs so far.
Okay, do you want to read off what you have?
So I have American Red Cross present, Audubon Bobcat Ranch, Cache Creek Conservancy, Capay Valley Fire District, Capay Valley, or City of Winters, Madison Fire Protection District, Yolo County Commission of Aging and Adult Services, and Yolo County In-Home Supporter Service Advisory Committee present.
Okay,
Hi.
who are we missing?
This is Tara Thronson from Supervisor Saylor's office. I apologize. I was a few minutes late.
Hi, everybody.
Hello, Tara Meredith.
Hi. And this is Ken Britton from West Winters Fire Safe Council. So I'm also present.
And Ken, thanks for joining us. Sorry for the late jump on, but I had an old link. I don't know if that happened to anybody else but me.
And me too.
Okay,
Sorry, everybody.
all right.
So we're in the middle of calling, doing roll call right now, Chief, and we're partway through that.
I'll let you finish then, since you already started it.
Okay, Joaquin, do you want to, who else are we missing here?
It looks like I am missing Capay Valley Vision, Dunnigan Fire Protection District, East Davis County Fire Protection District, Esparto Fire Protection District, Golden Bear Fire Safety Committee, the 100 Club, Winters Fire Protection District, Winters Senior Apartments, and Yolo County Board of Supervisors for District 5.
Can anyone? speak
Winters
to those
Fire is
groups?
president.
Oh.
Our interim chief is here. Matt Shekla.
Yes, I'm here.
Which one was that?
Winters Fire.
Capay Valley Fire Safe Council's here.
Yep, got that one.
Winter Senior Apartments, the previous manager who had been coming to these retired, and the new manager started, I think, 48 hours ago. And so she might not be dialed into this yet.
Makes sense.
So I'm puzzled by the Golden Bear Fire Protection Committee. That's, I believe, Neil Van Alphen, who represents both them and the West Winters Fire Safe Council. Is that correct? Because I hope we aren't double counting the people in Golden Bear or having our quorum be too large because of that.
No, we have Neil as Golden Bear, and then we have Lisa Gaines at West Winters Fire Safe Council.
Of who?
Lisa Gaines.
Okay. I'm on the steering committee and I have voted for them before. We have a pretty flat org structure.
With all those people, we have 15, so I think we're good to go.
Yep. Okay, I'll share the agenda again and turn it over to our chair.
All right, thanks all for coming, and sorry again for the late start. Appreciate you all attending. My name is Rebecca Ramirez, and I'm the fire chief at Yochitiki. I also am the chair of this committee of the Yolo County Fire Safe Council. And we have with us today also Vice Chair Jonathan Flora of Cape Valley Fire Protection District for his first meeting as vice chair. So thank you very much, Jonathan, and congratulations. Our first order of business would be to have an action to approve the agenda for this meeting, October 26th. If you all have had a chance to take a look at it, I'd entertain a motion for approval.
So Don Palm, it's my tradition to move to approve the agenda.
All right, Don. So we have a first from Don.
Cowan, second.
Thank you, Mayor, for your second. All those in favor? Aye.
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 Any
Aye.
opposed?
Aye.
Any opposed? And any abstentions?
I should actually mention one of the agenda items has been canceled due to travel plans, and that is the special presentation, number 7.
So noted. With the noted exception, the agenda carries forward. Thank you. The second action of business, or item of business that will need an action would be to approve the minutes from September 28th meeting, if you've had a chance to review.
Cape Valley moves to approve the minutes.
Thank you, Chief Capitano.
Cowan, second.
Thank you, Mayor, for a second. All those in favor?
Aye.
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 Any opposed? And any abstentions? All right, the meeting minutes from September 28th are approved. I will get to member announcements, please.
I know there was a pretty significant fire incident yesterday. Is there someone from the fire district that wanted to report out on that or not?
Which one are we talking about? The one that was in Winters or a different location?
The Winters.
That was
Oh,
early this morning.
That was
Yeah,
this
we-
morning.
Yeah, I can report on that. We had about 2:54 this morning, report of a structure fire, East Baker. We got there, we had 2 apartments well involved with threatening 2 additional apartments. All those happen to be have elderly people living in them. Luckily, one resident, a younger lady there, was actually awake when it happened. Heard the smoke detector downstairs, went downstairs and notified the resident, helped her who she's slightly disabled, helped her out, went back upstairs, got her mom out, and also notified her next door neighbor. So pretty impressive the what she did before the fire department got there to get people out. Had she not done that, we probably would have been talking a couple fatalities. That's how serious it was by the time we got there. So pretty surprised in just how much work she put in before we got there. But we were able to hold it to basically damage to 3 apartments. They were displaced. They're working with Red Cross now for shelter and assistance. So, a lot of help from a lot of agencies, including Chief Ramirez. Your crew was great. Really appreciated their help today. They stayed a little longer than everybody else. They're always great to work with. They did an awesome job. It worked out really good, especially for me, kind of working as a acting chief and still trying to be a captain at the same time. And, so I'm dealing with news and fire reports and investigation, plus a lot of, inquiries as to what's going on. So today's been busy. I'm still tired.
Yeah, the crew said that you guys did a great job also, and they were happy to go and work. Thank you for that, Chief. Appreciate it. Any other member announcements?
So this is Kate Laddish from IHSS, and my member announcement is really heartfelt thanks to both of your departments and all the other departments that respond. My apartment is directly across the driveway from the departments that were involved. And the response was tremendous. And it was significant. It was significant enough that I prepared to evacuate in the next property over. And huge hats off to the person who helped her neighbors evacuate. It's amazing that everybody got out. And so really big thanks. And to me, it brought home some of the discussions that we've had about urban fire safety and firewise practices, and making sure that's also on our radar, and continued attention to multifamily housing as well. And so again, thank you so much to your departments for the really quick response.
Yeah, no problem. This fire kind of reiterates the importance of sprinklers too. This apartment complex had no sprinkler system in it. And which, I don't know, there are still a few of those around. So, and I think that contributed to its quick spread, because the fire started right next to a large window that broke out right away. And it fueled the fire very quickly. So we're still doing some investigation stuff on it, still doing some more interviews and that kind of stuff.
Yeah, it sounds also like working smoke detectors are key in a lot of this. So the prevention and the community risk reduction efforts, latest of building codes, of course, helping mitigate all fire risk. And also then the key importance of mutual and automatic aid agreements that we all enjoy. And none of us is able to do all this on our own. If Yochtihi got a big fire tomorrow, we would count on all of our partners to come and assist us. And those are all reciprocity-based agreements. Those are not money changing hand from one to another. We're not talking about the strike teams that we go and we get reimbursements on from when we go down to Fresno or up north or to San Diego for a large strike team. We're talking about homes burning in small jurisdictions like Capay or Esparto or Winters or in the Capay Valley or even in the city, a larger city like the city of Davis responds, and they need their neighbors as well. So that's all based on mutual and automatic aid agreements. And so we always appreciate our partners, whether we're giving or receiving that aid. Those agreements are really important.
Karen Young from Solano County RCT, just would like to share something to add to this discussion. As a Yolo County resident and fairly close to where that incident happened this morning, I'm especially grateful for the investment that the county made in Pulse Point, because knowing what was going on and being aware when we're woken up with loud explosions is a very reassuring asset to the community.
It's a
Thank
great
you all for your hard work.
Just as a, and I don't know if show of hands is the right way to do it, but how many of you, when somebody says Pulse Point, know what that means, are familiar with it? Okay, so it looks like there's about half of our people that are probably familiar with it. So I will try while I'm doing this, or if I could even ask Heather or Karen. You know what, Karen? Since you were, I'm going to tag you're it. Since you were the wise person that brought it up, could you get to Pulse Point online? And then at some point during this meeting, we will try to share your screen. And
I will try.
Pulse Point, and we can describe a little bit about what Pulse Point's about, but I won't hijack the rest of our meeting. We'll do it back in the member reports. And we can even add it in as a topic for next meeting to really dive into a little bit more. Pulse Point's a really great tool. Thanks for bringing that up. If there's no more other members of announcements, if we can go down to reports, that would be great.
Okay, our first report is from Yolo County OES. That would normally be Kurt Johnson. Mark Bryan, I don't know, are you planning on speaking on behalf of OES for this evening's meeting?
I absolutely can. If Kurt is not on, I thought I saw Kurt on.
Mark, Kurt is not on. It's just you.
Oh, he's not. Okay, that is fine. Then I will go ahead and give. I think my update is brief. As many people know, we've been going through a transition period, and so the person who just spoke, confirming that Kurt was not on, is Kristen Waivoda, who is our new Chief of Emergency Services, who is now taking the reins of the County Office of Emergency Services. And so she is now back from her her already previously scheduled vacation and is in the office full time. So I've had the privilege and really opportunity for the last about month to a month and a half, almost 2 months of working with the Office of Emergency Services and getting to know many, particularly the fire chiefs throughout the county. And it really, there's no tongue in cheek in that. It was a privilege to get to know and meet all of them. And I look forward to continuing those relationships as my duties in the county administrator's office continue to morph and move forward. And in particular with regards to fire. I don't know if I have, Kristen, do you have anything that you need to update or give?
I don't have any updates at this time. I'm just getting up to speed on everything and look forward to participating in the next meeting.
Absolutely. So there's for those of you that have crossover meetings, and I know there's multiple meetings. Kristen and I both will be working on canceling the previously scheduled meetings and replacing those with meetings from her calendar, or at least for those meetings that come from the OES calendar. And I will continue to work with the Office of Emergency Services as appropriate to continue to have a smooth transition as we continue to move things out. So unless there's any questions, I'm happy to be done.
This is Neil Van Alphen. The question, I'm in the West Winters Fire Safe Council, and we have some fuel reduction projects that are being anticipated that are coordinated through your office. And we're getting a lot of questions from residents as to where the status is. We received the entry permission forms that have been filled out and submitted back, and haven't heard anything more as to what the time scale on this is.
So I think the best way to move forward with that, Kristen, can you take down Neil's name? I think his name is in his contact information is within the invite that was forwarded to both you and I, and we'll circle back with you on that, Neil.
Thank you.
And make sure that we get us a good status update.
Thank you.
Thank you for bringing that up. That's important. Thank you.
Is there any, thank you so much, Mark, Brian, and also Kristen. I'm looking forward to working with you, Kristen, going forward. I think it's up to coordinator report, which I will share my screen. And can everyone see that okay? I don't have the reassuring green line around there, so I'm okay. So what we have a lot of meetings and events coming up. The next Fire Safe Council meeting, November 16th. We typically have it the 4th Wednesday, but it runs into that Thanksgiving week. So I hope that works better for everyone. But that's our recommendation there. And then you can see the other KP Valley Fire Protection District Fire Safe Council meetings coming as every Wednesday still. West Winters Fire Safe Council, no meeting this month. Solano Fire Safe Council on Zooms coming up on the 21st of November. Pleasance Valley Fire Safe Council is meeting hybrid on the 14th. There's a plant sale at Roostaller Brewery run by Solano RCD on the 12th. They're going to be highlighting, I think, some post-fire native plants at that event. And that's going to be pretty fun if you're interested in doing some planting, even if it's not post-fire. Then Solano Yolo Fire Safe Council leadership team meetings, October was the other day, so that happened. And then the website advisory committee will be meeting as needed. Nothing scheduled to date. And then the brown bag meeting looks like it's happening tomorrow. And then the other thing that I'd like to highlight here is that will come up in a topic later, is a status update on the Community Wildfire Protection Plan. We're going to share with you something on that later in the agenda. But I highlighted where we are in this process, where we originally shared that the RCD will complete and present the draft CWPP projects list to the Fire Safe Council stakeholders for your input. And that's going to happen later well, not too long from now. So we had it scheduled for fall, and we're pretty much on track. And I'll talk a little bit more about that. But just to say that we've also been, we'll also be presenting basically as a reminder to the Board of Supervisors at their November 8th meeting. I'll give just a refresher presentation to them to let them know this is in the final draft, and we would like to be, our plan is to finish up the CWPP projects list and then the draft document by the end of the calendar year or January, so we can then submit to CAL FIRE for review in January, February. Does anybody have any questions on that timeline?
Heather, I just wanted to check. I saw in that document earlier that it's like a 6-month approval process for CAL FIRE before it comes back and gets signed by all the stakeholders.
That is correct. That's what they suggested that we allow.
Okay.
So that's the other thing I'd be telling so for the Fire Safe Council in this group, what that's going to mean is we're going to talk. We're going to show you for the first time the projects list. It's draft. It's in process. The CWPP steering committee is meeting on the 4th to just talk about that in depth. But we are going to get some input, initial input from this group tonight. We'll be making sure the Board of Soups and any other members of the public know that we're in the draft phase. The meeting in November on the 16th, we plan to present the Fire Safe Council with a draft of the document of the CWPP and a draft, revised draft or updated draft, including inputs from the CWPP steering committee and tonight's meeting for more review. So you'll have, we'll try to give you at least a week or two before that meeting. I say that and I'm starting to do the math, but probably a week before that meeting, you'll have it in writing. So you'll get a board packet to review, and then you'll get more time after that November meeting to provide more input. And then we'll see where we're at. We are hoping to see if we can get it a final draft for the Fire Safe Council to approve to submit to CAL FIRE for review, in January. But if we're not there yet, I think we do have some wiggle room. But we're going to try to stick to the original timeline. And then, yeah, the CAL FIRE group, they tell us to allow for that much time. Once it goes through them for approval, it'll go actually to the Board of Supervisors for adoption, which is one of the reasons I'm meeting with, I'm presenting as a refresher on the 8th so that they know that's coming. And then after that all sounds very, final, but, remember that it's the plan is just a plan. It's iterative. It will get updated every few years. Just because there's a project and not in there, we want to see if we can get all our projects in there. But if other things evolve, it's not going to stop us, from doing other work that needs to get done. So it will essentially, if you remember when we first I brought this before you as we were forming the Fire Safe Council, that it's the strategic plan of the Fire Safe Council. And it'll be a list of projects that we are just going to go through and get those things done. And then when those things are done, other things will be coming up. So that's basically more or less what it is. So that's my updates. We can talk a little bit more about it when we get down to the input part this evening. I'm going to turn it over to Kate for grant opportunities updates. You're on mute.
Sorry about that. I was concerned about you seeing the spreadsheet. Everyone can see it? Okay. So we don't have a lot of implementation funding available right now. There is coming up in anticipated. It was late October, beginning of November. Anytime now, CAL FIRE is going to release a request for proposals for wildfire prevention grants. So that's something to be on the lookout for. And then in ongoing funding opportunities, this is a little different, something I came across today, still may be relevant. It's for fire departments, and it's virtual workshops to fire departments, and it's to deal with raise awareness about behavioral health issues and suicide in the fire, EMS, and dispatch services through data collection and education. And it's an educational workshop that some fire departments may be interested in joining. So that information is available on the Google spreadsheet, and it's in the down here, the ongoing funding opportunities tab. Other than that, we still have the searchable, the federal grants.gov can be searched, and the California grants portal can be searched. And that's about it right now. Pretty quiet. And that is it from me.
Thanks, Kate. Allie, do you have an outreach and website development committee report?
Yes, yep. So I talked to our website developer, and we're aiming to launch the site sometime in November or December at the latest. So that'll be out for everyone's review soon. I imagine we'll do a soft launch first, where folks can make some comments on, you know, any edits that need to be made or any resources that might be missing or any of that. And then we'll do a hard launch where it'll be, you know, ready to go. And then in other updates, we sent out bulk mailers up in the Cape Valley. We haven't sent any in Winters yet, but we sent out bulk mailers for our programs, for the chipper program and the address send program. So hopefully those are making it their way to people's mailboxes soon. And then updates on our two programs. Our chipper program, we just had a chipper day last week on October 21st, and we had two properties that had quite a bit of material, so we only got through two properties up in Cape Valley. And there's more chipper days to come. And there's still plenty of funding for our pilot chipper program. So anyone that's interested can sign up on the links which are available on our website, and I can drop them in the chat if anyone's interested. And a quick reminder for our chipper program, this might not be super applicable to folks in Winters, but for those up in Cape Valley, just a quick reminder that the chipper program is for hazardous fuels reduction, particularly for private landowners, and not for agricultural operations. So something to keep in mind. And for our next chipper day, we don't have anything scheduled just yet, but it'll be half the day in Cape Valley and then half the day in Winters. And then for our address sign program, we have 83 properties, and there's 130 signs, most of which have been delivered. I think we have like 2 or 3 that are waiting to be delivered for Cape Valley. So that's an update on our programs. And then a little reminder that our request for qualified contractors is still out for any qualified contractors that can help landowners with home hardening or defensible space or any of that. We're looking for we're looking for companies or contractors that we can list on the Yolo County Fire Safe Council website as a resource for landowners to be able to access those qualified contractors. And last thing, we had a booth with Solano RCD, Solano Fire Safe Council, at the Carinas Festival last month, and this month we'll have a shared booth at the Winter Salmon Festival at the same location in the I forget if it's the Central Park in Winters.
Rotary Park in winter.
Rotary Park, yeah, thank you, Kate. Yes, Rotary Park in Winters on November 5th. And a little shout out to Karen from Solano RCD. She's working on developing a fun little game that'll be sort of like a beanbag toss, but incorporate defensible space. And I'm sure Karen will explain it a little bit better in her update. But that's my update. And yeah, if anyone has any questions, feel free to ask them or shoot them in the chat my way or send me an email. Thanks.
Okay, turning it over to you, Karen.
All right. I'm sorry, I had to step out for a minute to get a delivery. Updates from Solano RCD and Solano Fire Safe Council. As noted on the calendar of meetings, we did have the last Solano Fire Safe Council meeting last Monday on October 17th. Thank you to everyone who was there. Our next meeting is going to be on Monday, November 21st. We're exploring the possibility of an in-person option, but it will at least be hybrid. If you are interested in what that county's Fire Safe Council is doing, at the moment, it's a lot of making progress on bylaws and website. So we are spending a lot of time combing through the example document provided by Yolo. So thanks for putting together such a thorough bylaws document. As Ali mentioned, we'll be tabling at the Salmon Festival, and that home hardening activity is going to be a flexible set of pieces so that it can be used in a variety of different ways, but basically we'll have a house shape with some holes that can be covered up, and if you can toss your beanbag ember through the hole, the structure is presumed to ignite. And the holes can be covered up by implementing various home hardening activities or defensible space activities. So I invite you to stop by the Salmon Festival table on November 5th to try it out. Help us test this game out. Hoping to have it ready by then. And yeah, should be pretty fun. I also look forward to seeing many of you at the Solano RCD Native Plant Sale on November 12th, as Heather mentioned. And that's it for Solano.
Thanks, Karen. It looks like we have community fire safe reports coming up. Cape Bay, then Pleasance Valley, then West Winters.
This is Moira updating you on the Cape Bay Valley Fire Safe Council. And Jesse, feel free to join in if I leave anything out, but for the National Fire Prevention Week, we had an event last weekend, very well attended by the community. We had a lot of support from CAL FIRE. They also attended, and our fire department, the Cape Bay Valley Fire District firefighters were there. Fearless Fire Chief Jesse Capitanio started us off with some of the demonstrations with how to use a fire extinguisher properly. We had live fire, and the community members who wanted to actually got a chance to use a fire extinguisher and be taught how to do it properly. We had quite a few people hesitate, and then all of a sudden everybody wanted to do it. And the interesting thing is a lot of those people had fire extinguishers in their own homes, have never used them, and had no idea how to use them. So it was a really, really valuable opportunity. We also had other demonstrations. For instance, CAL FIRE and the Cape Bay Valley Fire Department got an opportunity to practice some extraction techniques on 2 derelict vehicles. So we got to see them in action with the jaws of life and other tools for breaking into a car where someone's trapped inside their car. And they looked like they were having an awful lot of fun for something that was serious training. And we had a ton of different brochures and handouts for the public, anything from how to help your whole family practice evacuating the house in the event that your house is on fire, as well as defensible space materials. We had handouts on the Yolo County address signage program and chipper program, et cetera. I think we had a total of about 30 different handouts, English and in Spanish. Oh gosh, what else? We had a wonderful support from the 100 Club. So we now have a gorgeous, huge banner for National Fire Prevention Week that we'll be able to use year after year after year, which is really a nice touch. We also fed our community. Cal Fire did the barbecuing. So we had hamburgers and hot dogs for everybody that wanted them. And Jesse or Jonathan, did I leave anything else out?
I was just gonna mention the that go bag thing that Michael and Craig put together. That was a really cool demo. They had gotten a duffel bag together and basically just made like a large display of like an exploded go bag with all of the different items that you would want to pack as essentials, just to give people sort of an idea of what the baseline is, understanding that, you know, everybody's going to add personal items that have, you know, more emotional value to them. But it was a really cool demo. And I think that we are keeping the display intact so that we can pull it out at all the future events.
Excellent.
And if Mara, if I can add my little 2 cents, it was absolutely amazing to see the young kids, the young adults use a fire extinguisher, because it was obvious that they had never had that experience before. And just that knowledge being transferred to them as to how to put out a fire was, I mean, outstanding. So you and your team did a fantastic job, and very rewarding experience. So thank you.
Thank you for coming. We really appreciated having you there.
Thank you.
And that's everything, I think, from Cape Valley. We continue to train once a month for different emergency response activities, as well as Fire Safe Council stuff.
Excellent. Thank you, Cape Valley. Rose, Pleasance Valley, are you reporting in? Thank you.
Sure. Yeah, just a short report. Sorry, my voice is bad. Only my dogs want to hang out with me because I have COVID. So I'm stuck in one room, and even the cats have shunned me for now. So Rose from Pleasance Valley Fire Safe Council. And we did our October 10th meeting. It was our first meeting in over a year when we did not have a scheduled speaker. So we just did a big open forum. And so you could either Zoom in or come live. We had actually a lot of new members attend this particular meeting, a lot of people that wanted to ask questions or just had not grievances necessarily, but we're just kind of wondering what was going on and how they could show up and what we were all about. So we actually got some new members with just an open forum. So it was kind of a different kind of meeting for us. Working on our 501c3, planning to use the NOLO Press way. So if anyone out there wants to email me and let me know how they enjoyed NOLO Press as far as getting a 501c3 done, I would love to hear from anyone that's gone through the process, since we're just at the beginning of it right now. And doing, of course, filling out all the grant application for the capacity building grant right now. And we just had Congressman Mike Thompson come and speak to us last Wednesday. And he spoke to us as a farmer, but also he spoke to us a lot about fire resiliency. He's going to be trying to come back every 4 to 8 weeks and speak to our farm community. And he was invited by both PVAA and CAF. So hopefully Yolo County members also get the invite when he comes back. So we're just trying to build dialogue to try to understand a little bit more about what we can do on the federal level. And you know, he definitely is a farmer and he knows fire. So he definitely understood our questions and concerns and what we were looking for in this county, especially with our supervisors and kind of the issues we have here. So I think that's it. Other than that, just plugging along.
Thanks, Rose.
Okay.
West Winters, is that Neil?
Yes, we really don't have much to update. We've been busy with the various projects that are underway. We are in a position where we have so many balls in the air, we don't want to add any new ones. Our biggest challenge, as we see it, is to make sure that everyone in the community knows about the opportunities that are available to them through these various projects, like the address signs, the chipper, and especially the fuel reduction programs where we need to remove the fuels from our properties. So these are all projects that many people know about, but not everyone. And so that's the biggest challenge, is those who don't respond to emails, for us to go out and meet with them personally to do that. So that's the charge of the committee at the moment. And I think that's really the only update we have.
Thanks, Neil. Unless there's anything else, we can move on to one that RCD is going to be leading. That's number 6, request for input. Thanks, Kate. So hopefully everyone's had a cup of tea. This is, let's see, I want to double check our time. This is our last agenda topic for this meeting. Before it gets, I think this will take half an hour to go give you sort of an overarching overview of our projects list. So I just want to give you the heads up on that. It looks like our next meeting, looking at the agenda, that's correct. November 16th, 4 to 5:30. So 3rd Wednesday. And that's really all we have. Let me double check. Yep, I had mentioned that the next topic for the next meeting is going to be to review the Yolo County draft of the Yolo County Community Wildfire Protection Plan. So just wanted to put that out there. That way, if we're not going to go over time, and I'm hoping we stop, 10 minutes before 5, around 5:20, about 5:20. But we might, depending on how the input part goes, this initial input part, we might edge towards actual 5:30. So I just wanted to finish that up at the at least our next meeting, so you know what to expect there. Okay, I'm going to do my best to describe this kind of a large list. Okay, we have a large list of projects, which is great. We have I think 5 or 6 different categories of project types. And there's community outreach and education, which is green. That coral one is defensible space and home hardening, evacuation and access planning, fuels management, and then there's kind of a miscellaneous category, other mitigation and preparedness projects. So just wanted to give you a little view there. There is the CWPP steering committee has the detailed list. That's kind of the raw materials. Kate and I spent some time analyzing that over the last few work days and putting together a slightly different version. So if you're someone Neil, this version, is going to look a little different than what you got on this as a steering committee. We're just taking an analysis approach and have a few, want to point out a few things that are cropping up. So we have the categories of types of projects. We have information categorized into project lead or project proponent, project location, project name, project description, status / time frame, and then whether project forms were submitted. And there may be some notes throughout. So we're not going to go through this project by project, but I'm going to point out a few things that if you are a project proponent, if you have your, if you've listed some of these projects as a stakeholder here in this forum that you might want to think about as we move towards finalizing the CWPP projects list. Kate, I'm going to go through all of like we talked about, but is there anything in this intro that I missed? Oh, you're muted.
Okay, sorry about that again. I think that Tanya wanted us to really request for some of these projects that don't have really strong descriptions, that whoever suggested them or put them forth would please fill out a project information form. And Ellie can direct you to the place online that you can get those, or you can email me or Tanya and we can send you a Word document that's a form that's really easy to fill out. So I think Ellie was going to drop that in the chat, and that's it. Tanya would really like more project forms and that give us a little more detail, especially regarding activities and then specific locations. And that's it.
Thank you, Kate. I would say the first thing that's highlighted on the screen here is Severa's and the Cape Valley Fire District's Fire Safe Council's project form. And their example here is really good. So I wanted to just pop over to their project form really quick. If Allie or Kate, if you guys have, either one of you can pull that up on your screen just to show you. And while one of you does that, this is a project that it's kind of almost a program actually. So the folks that put this together from Cape Valley did a great job in describing various activities as a program, education, risk reduction, establishing volunteer fire break in Cape Valley, home assessment, and various things. And so things that are coming clear in terms of putting a list together is kind of a succinct project description. And then for, here it is, thanks so much. The project, this is for the capacity building project. And if you scroll through, an abstract or project description is kind of what we're calling it now. You've got a summary and then bullets of specific examples that this project would aim to achieve. And the way we're thinking this would be a good way to include in the CWPP is to have this project listed with a succinct summary, and then in the appendices, the full project description with all the details. So we want to have like a short and sweet list of projects, and then for some,
I'll put the patties in the microwave.
For some projects that are involved or connected or comprehensive, to have the project form in an appendices to refer to with a lot more detail. This isn't applicable for all the projects, but As we were analyzing this, we think it's probably going to be applicable for a few. So thanks for sharing that, Kate. And we can go back to that table. Okay. Keep going there. Okay, so we're just going to focus on the highlights. We're still in the project category of community outreach and education. Some of the things we're noticing as we're doing our analysis are this one here for Western Yolo LiDAR imaging. This is another great project proposed. We have a clarifying question in the project lead for the Yochadihi Fire District. If you're thinking that your environmental department would be the lead or the county's environmental department being lead, because so if anyone has an answer to that, and then also, are there other high fire areas that we're going to want LiDAR for? Because our understanding is so far, the county's LiDAR is mostly in the valley, in like the irrigated ground and that kind of thing. There's not LiDAR for the western area. So if there are, this is an opportunity for other areas to see a good project and say, hey, you know, we need this for. It's listed here for Winters, Blue Ridge, and I believe Cape Valley. But if there's any other specifics, you know, to make note of it now. Does that make sense?
Do you want those specific suggestions now verbally, or you want them offline as an email after this is over?
Okay, yeah, that's a good question. We could take, if it's pretty straightforward, Kate can type right in here. If it's a long discussion, like let's follow up after the meeting, but it may be good to do that. Try having a couple back and forth and see if it makes sense in the larger group. I've probably got like 1 or 2 things to talk about over a course of maybe 8 more, you know, pages.
Yeah, so I'm sort of in between. I was just thinking, I don't know how far east the LiDAR maps are going to get all the way to Winters, but some of these sloughs provide corridors for fire and probably would be good to include on those LiDAR maps. It's just a top of the mind suggestion. I presume that the southwest corner, the whole West Winters area of Golden Bear and Positas down to the creek would also be included. Just, it looks like it's already there, but I just wanted to confirm that.
Okay. Kate, are you taking notes on that?
I was just going to say, I'm capturing those on a separate document because otherwise it'll mess up the formatting of this table potentially. So, and as we go through it. So right now I captured Ken's comment on a separate document. Thank you, Ken.
And thank you.
Okay, this next highlight that's in the it's actually the Yolo County Fire Safe Council as the project lead, and as a result, something that we're asking ourselves as RCD as the main coordinator here, what we want to do with several different individual projects and individual areas related to defensible space and home hardening. There's training for volunteers, training for staff, various kinds of training. There's risk assessment program, you know, there's volunteer risk assessment. We could find funding for training for professional staff to do assessments. We can train people to assess their own houses. And then there's also the possibility and various, what you don't see is various different, we've kind of taken several 4 or 5 or 6 different individual projects and put them together in more of a programmatic that we need to put a project form together for. So that's something you may be seeing as a recommendation for us from those of us coordinating the Fire Safe Council is to put together you know, the training, the cost share programming, the possible incentives program into kind of a succinct program that all addresses defensible space and home hardening. So that's something that, you know, you might see. If you have any comments on that, let me know now, any overarching comments. I think putting together this project form will involve coordinating with the community fire safe councils and possibly even our neighboring counties like Solano. And we would put together a draft and make sure those stakeholders who would be part of this kind of program review that in detail, that project description. Okay, we can keep going here. Then you'll see a few of these where we've kind of looked at this and said, oh, this is an emergency alert system. You know, we might want to move this. It is community outreach, but it's probably more connected to evacuation and access planning. So we might do some suggesting some different categories there, not changing the project or the fact that it's in the CWPP. So just a heads up on those kinds of things. The Greater Winter CWPP, their hazardous tree removal program that they entered into their 2018, the Greater Winter CWPP. This is another one that's just a great idea, and it's kind of connected to the defensible space and home hardening effort to expand this to the all high fire areas. There's probably there's a lumping that may happen in the CWPP project list or not if we don't want to. The CWPP could be a full-on laundry list of super individual projects. Or it could be, you know, you take basically home hardening and defensible space programming, and then you describe it in detail for the various areas of focus, which would be Greater's Winters, which would be Cape Bay Valley, which would be these areas that need focus. And then down at the bottom of this page, there's the East Davis County Fire Protection District. I'm not sure if Bill's on the line tonight, but this project got started with early action funding. And I wanted to just point out, you know, at some point, you know, before we get the draft together, we'll want to figure out what the status is, because the other thing you'll see is not only project list of categories, but also projects in various stages. So you're going to see, I don't have it to show you, but what you'll see in the CWPP draft is current and ongoing projects, proposed, you know, current and ongoing projects that are being completed and are in a maintenance phase. And then you'll have, you know, there may be fully completed projects that don't have any maintenance involved. And then you'll have a category for future, you know, future projects. So we're going to also categorize them in that way. And that way, as CWPP, as we move through all of this as a fire safe council, we will have tracked everything that we do as the countywide fire safe council and what's been completed. So those won't disappear off the page. They'll just get out of the document. They'll get documented, I guess. Any comments on that idea? Okay. There were several different, we also went out to the community and got a lot of community input. Some of those resulted in projects that are on private property, specific properties that were identified by other entities possibly, or other community members. You know, whether or not we actually note those individual properties is going to be a part of a discussion. I mean, as an RCD staff member, I would recommend that you only list those actual properties if a property owner has given you the A-OK to do that. Otherwise, you probably want to refer to it in a more vague fashion. So, you know, that's something that it would be good to hear what other how we should capture, these identified issues on identified property without divulging, personal information.
Hey, Heather, it's Jesse from Cape Valley. I'm not sure the best way to capture that, but I will say that proposing properties for, some kind of fuel reduction work where we've had a bunch of sessions where we're just all kind of standing around in a room spitballing, right? Like Tanya's come up to the fire department and we'll say, oh yeah, that one property, like that's a fire trap, and that property, that's a fire trap. And then the process, if that funding gets approved or if the project moves ahead, of then actually contacting the homeowner and trying to reach out to them, it makes it really difficult to have these things on the list when the property owner isn't the one to have suggested it. So trying to create, I guess on our end, some sort of way of doing that preliminary outreach and getting the buy-in rather than just identifying all these parcels of private property seems really important. We encountered it with the Rumsey Canyon Road project when, what we thought was going to be working within, or no, it was the Road 41A project, when what we thought was going to be working and clearing within the county easement actually turned into, realizing that the heavy fuels were on a private property owner's land, and then you kind of have to go to them and explain the project and see if they want it done. It's just an opportunity for confusion that we should be looking at like on an ongoing basis.
Thanks, Jesse. It seems like there's a way that we can describe the work and then possibly not have in our public facing document, specific pinpoints for private property. But we'll work on that issue. But just know that that's, something that has, is going to come up as we finish our list here. So that's kind of the main thing I just want to give you a heads up, start thinking about. The next one on here is another scale up. This is another great idea about access maps, creating detailed access maps for fire districts. So Avenza maps work offline. I've learned today, actually, when Kate and I had to look this up, but it's a type of mapping that allows for offline map apps for navigating remote areas without internet, network, or satellite connections. And this seems like something that may be needed in other areas as well. And then, yeah, there's just another exact location. So this is where, okay, if a landowner says, I need to deal with fuels on my property, and they can put things on. I have this note here off the side at the very bottom of this page where it says, please, at the very bottom of the page, whatever that is, it says, please map on hub site. Allie can throw in the chat the link to the hub site as a reminder. If anyone has projects that need mapping, as we get into evacuation and access planning, it's especially it's become especially clear that we need a hub site, and we need these things physically mapped to understand exactly where we're talking about, or at least get close, right? So Allie, throw that in the link so people remember, or in the chat so people remember what that is. And that's going to be a theme for evacuation access planning and some of the fuels management stuff. Okay, so just scrolling through here, another thing I wanted to bring up, emergency response team mobile data terminals. That's another awesome idea that may be needing to expand to other high fire areas where you get fixed tablets in the fire engines, that where info can be updated live. One of the ideas here is including information on residents who may need extra help or have large animals, that kind of coordination. Yeah. So it says here, Cayuga Valley Fire Protection Department needs 5. Let's find out who else needs these, and we can add that to the list.
Heather, this is Kate from IHSS. And you won't be surprised at all to hear, I'm really excited that the tablet might be able to have information about people who would need extra help, whether they have large animals or they have disabilities of different types. And how would that information be gathered?
I think we don't know the answer to that yet.
That might be a good separate project.
Hey, Kate, in the Cape Valley, Vera is doing it through a community survey that's been released several times to people out here. So they're helping to gather that information just for our locality, and then to maintain a list.
Terrific. Okay. Yeah, I know it's something, there've been some county discussions like within, and Elaine would be familiar with these, within the Yolo County Commission and Aging and Adult Services Emergency Prep Subcommittee. And it's something that IHSS Advisory Committee has certainly been interested in, just kind of trying to figure out what would be a good way, both for members of the public and for first responders to, find out what's worked rather than everybody else have to reinvent the wheel. So might be in touch. That's all right.
Yeah, it seems like the survey is difficult, and getting engagement with it is difficult. I mean, people have a lot of different ways that they receive their information. So trying to get social media as well as direct mailers, as well as talking about it at community events, still doesn't seem to be netting like a large portion of the population out here at all. So the outreach is difficult, and the only solution that we've come up with is just to have it be ongoing and repetitive, and keep on trying to pick away at it and build the list.
Right.
That
Okay,
seems
great.
like something we can start to help with for other areas. Jesse, if you guys could share with us the survey, how the survey questions, it may be as simple as some outreach via the groups we already have formed here. I don't know.
Yeah, that would be a great thing for you and maybe like Moira to get in touch about. I would be happy to participate in that discussion too, because it would be great to be able to cast a wider net, and it's going to be information that everybody wants. I mean, they're particularly focused on, for the short term at least, finding people with mobility issues or additional needs that might require assistance in the event of evacuation or in the event of a power outage. But particularly with Moira's experience with the Napa cart, the large animal evacuation has been on the radar since the inception.
Great. Yeah, well, and actually, and just looping back to the beginning of this meeting, I mean, what Chief Setchla and Chief Ramirez were saying about that, one of the reasons that there probably weren't fatalities at this apartment fire last night was that a resident there helped catch some people with mobility issues out, and so it's just, so it was on her radar, and and it might well have been on others, but I mean, it really highlights the importance of this, and so I'm really delighted that it's something you've been working on. I really look forward to learning more.
Awesome. Okay, we have a few more minutes. I want to make sure I get through most of this, and then there's obviously more to talk about. The Yolo County Public Works, I'm not sure if there's anyone here who could speak to that, but replacing the low water bridge at County Road 40. Last we heard it was almost complete. We'll want to follow up with that. Anybody know about that?
Yeah, this is Ben Sitter. I was out there today. The bridge itself looks done. It's just the access ramp or the access road that they're working on right now. And I would guess within a couple of months, they'd have that finished.
Awesome. And then the rerouting of County Road 41 at Cache Creek. It says it's in process and wasn't sure if anyone had more information on that. My question was, is funding needed?
I don't know if any of the OES folks are still on, but I got an update on that recently. I can jump in if you like. I think that they're trying to get grant funding to be able to move the road. I don't think that the county is able to purchase the land necessary for moving that road, and so they've applied for outside funding and are waiting to see if that comes through. But I believe that they've identified the area that they're going to move the road to, and they've already done some preliminary like engineering studies on it. So it's in progress, but it sounds like it's going to be dependent on their ability to secure funding.
Okay, thanks for the update, Jesse. Keeping going on the highlights here. There's several different county road related projects that have been identified. So just adding, Ann County, kind of making sure this gets on the county's radar. And if there's any other input on those projects that we're looking at here in Esparto and Gwenda, shout out your ideas. Are folks talking to the county? Do we need to elevate those?
I think that again, this 49 and 45 connection it's something that has been identified for a while as an impediment to access, but it would require the county obtaining an easement through private property and then building a bridge over a drainage. And so, no, I don't think anybody has suggested that to the landowner or to the county. I think that was another ideal world wish list kind of thing.
Got it. Okay. So it may be that if there's a big chunk of money for a particular type of work like this, that maybe then it becomes something possible to consider starting that conversation.
Yeah, and I think, yes, I think it would take a big chunk of money. And in the meantime, I think I know the property owner at the end of the road right there. And if I see him, I can see, but I don't believe I've ever been on that property.
And one of the things we'll probably have to do in the future as a fire safe council is, when funding opportunities come through, we'll have to figure out what's the priority, to go for, right, for projects. So it's okay to have these in here, and maybe it comes to the top for particular reasons. So just kind of making sure we get through this. So actually that first one on the list, evacuation on this page, is an evacuation assistance needed list. Create list of residents in high fire areas requiring additional assistance with evacuation. So that was put by our two fire safe councils, community fire safe councils in Yolo County. Are there other partners? It seems like there probably would be if we were going to work on that project together. It sounds like it would be some of the fire districts for sure. So that's just a question. This next one in Knights Landing is whether it's an access project or just a fuels reduction project, depending on what, if someone has if that's an access project, should we keep it in evacuation and access planning? If it's just fuels, we could put it in the fuels management planning, fuels management category. That's pretty minor, it's just an organizational thing. But if someone knows that project, Knights Landing Fire Protection District, and says, oh, that's really a fuels management, has not a whole lot to do with that access, or evacuation, you know, we could just shift it, but those kinds of things will come up. So we did, you know, in our community meetings, there's a lot of community member ideas, and, you know, some of the questions that will come up are who would lead this, you know, if the Rumsey Canyon Emergency Access Signage Project got funded, or, you know, we were discussing it to get funded. There's a question there. And then there were quite a few, you know, a whole slew of projects that came up around the Rumsey Ditch Bridge assessment, Rumsey Canyon Road access improvement, farm access and signage for Blue Heron Farm, Rumsey Ditch Bridge access improvements. The lumper in me, I'm admittedly more of a lumper, was like, oh, is that a program? You know, can we put a whole project together? Are these all connected? And we can describe all of this work in a project form? Question mark, you know? So probably don't have time to discuss that, but if you know, we might want to, does anyone have any like initial feedback on something like this? Sounds like not at the moment.
I have what I think is slightly related question, deep connected to what you just said, that if you have something that is only involving private roads and a couple of landowners, but it's within the domain of a fire safe council, whether it would be better to involve the whole fire safe council and have them propose a project, or just have the landowners themselves propose a single project. How would that best be viewed, do you think, in the whole CWPP sorting of projects?
My first time going through this, I'm not sure what's going to work best for our group. We definitely, if there was if Tracy Cattleman was on the line, I'm not sure she is. She's done so many of these. She is. Ha. Can I put you on the spot, Tracy?
If you ask me the question again.
Can you frame that one more time?
Sure. If you have a pretty geographically limited project that just would link private property and private roads, and you have all the buy-in from all the relevant landowners, what's the best way to propose it? Through a fire safe council, or just directly from a landowner?
Propose it, you mean for funding or to the CWPP?
Yeah, for funding through the CWPP mechanism.
Either one would be through an organization, through the fire safe council, definitely, because then it shows that there's community buy-in. It's not just that one landowner or the group of landowners.
Roger that. That's great. Thanks.
Chris Fullerton, you have your hand up. Would you like to add something? Don Palm, I see your hand up.
So I like your impulse to lump. I think that makes a lot of sense here, but with the one exception, it looks like one of these projects is already in process. So it kind of lump the other three.
That's a good point. I think we need to learn more first about this project, I would think. And if one's already in process, yeah, I would say the rest need to, I'm not sure. We gotta think about that one. Chris Fullerton, did you have a question?
No, I don't. I'm sorry, I hit the wrong button. I apologize about that.
That's okay. Good to hear your voice. All right. What else do we have here? Yeah, there's CAL FIRE seems to already be involved with Audubon on their Bobcat Ranch access gates, but I might be going too far in making suggestions like that. So, you know, Ben might want to weigh in on that, or Dash, but there are co-benefits to those projects beyond just Audubon, I believe, in terms of firefighting for wildfire prevention for Highway 128. So that you'll see, and we can discuss it late, you know, as we get through the next month and 2 months of project, you know, finalizing. Let's see, there's a few that are going to be the same down here for Greater Winter CWPP. You know, and this is a question for that Fire Safe Council. Do you want to continue to include these projects? Do you want to incorporate them as part of the countywide program and have them framed differently? We'll want your input on those which we had, pulled from the CWPP and put in here. So that can happen, over edits over a document or a meeting that we come to of yours, or however you want to do that. Does that sound okay, Neil?
This is Neil. I would just say that repetition is not a problem. The more times that particular project is presented, as I see it, the better it is. So it can be, in my view, in both CWPPs.
Okay, awesome. That's easy. We can just leave it there as is. Do you want, and we like the keeping like the originating document just so it's connected. It's a small question, but we did note that on here. So. Another great idea, broadband upgrades for emergency notification. Should we include other areas? We're running out of time, so just some moving around, recategorizing possibly as we understand projects better. There's some considering combining some Cape Valley conservation oriented oak woodland management that may want to be combined. Other folks who may also want to take on a fuel task force, creating a fuel break task force. I thought that was a neat idea that other areas might want to take on. Anything else there? Map some of these things. We map some of these things, please. There's fuel breaks, various properties. I ran out of steam, but there's quite a few. So I think the important thing to know before we end this meeting is that CWPP will be also taking a look at these. We're going to be inclusive versus exclusive. If you've got a project here, if you're one of the entities that go through all your projects one more time, map it if you can on the hub site. Get a project form to Tanya Meyer, if you please. Clarify some things that you might see. So we're not going to send you the document yet. We're going to send it to you after the CWPP steering committee meeting, and we make edits there. And then you'll get a chance to work with this as well. It probably will be a Google. We haven't figured that part out yet, but we will. And I will end there.
For the project submittal form, if anyone's having trouble accessing it online, sometimes it doesn't load for whatever reason, and we haven't figured out that IT issue. So we do have, I'll drop it in the chat, we do have the project form in a Word doc that we've uploaded to Google Drive, so folks can just download it, fill it out, and then send it back to us with that information in there.
Allie, just a note, I've had it open using the link that you sent for most of this meeting, and it hasn't been loading. But when I navigated to it through the hub site, that link did work. So that route might work for some people.
Yeah, we've been seeing that happening. Thanks, Karen, for bringing that up. Yeah, we're not sure why, but we're trying to get to the bottom of it. So.
Okay, we're 1 minute over. I want to turn it back over to our chair.
All right, so are we heading straight for the topics for next meeting?
Reviewing the CWPP.
Yeah, the reviewing of the Yolo County set, right. All right, so in that, unless I'm missing something, so I've been trying to keep up, apologies, I've been kind of double doing here. We're just looking for our next meeting at this point.
Yes.
Right. Okay, so November 16th, remember we tried to meet just a little bit early because the holiday that's coming up. For those of you, and I don't know, Rose, did you happen to get that pulse point up where we could do a quick screen share?
This is Karen. I do have it
Oh,
up.
Karen, excuse me. Oh, can you give Karen the ability to share screen real quickly? Because this will only probably take about 1 minute, maybe 2.
Got it. Yeah.
Okay. All right, for those of you that have not gotten on Pulse Point before, if you could scroll down just a little bit, there you go, where we see the Pulse Point. So this is an app on your phone. It's free to all users. The county pays for it, and we actually pay through Yolo County Emergency Medical fees that come from the transport agency. So through this app, really simple to use, you can get alerts on your phone if you should choose for any incident for any fire department that is Pulse Point connected, like the City of Winters, like Yochadihi, Winton Nation, City of Davis, Woodland, West Sacramento, or Cape Hay, others. What this does is it will allow you to look into any working incident in your area and see what's going on with it. You can actually listen to it by clicking the microphone. So you can listen to real-time talk on the radio from your fire agencies. The intent of this app was not actually to share this type of information, but it was really to crowdsource CPR. And so it'll ask you a lot of questions about, do you know CPR, and do you think you might be willing to do CPR in a public place if somebody went down? Doesn't mean you have to, but if you'd like to, then you sign up for this app. The idea behind this app was there were a couple of fire chiefs who were in a restaurant, and their fire engines rolled up only to do CPR on a woman that was just in the room over. And had they only known, they probably could have saved her life. So they decided that would never happen again. So what this app does is it crowdsources you and locates where you are. And if a 911 call for CPR originates within a quarter mile of your public location, it will ping you and it'll say, hey, do you want to go over here and try to do CPR for this person? You don't have to, but if you want to, you can. The ancillary benefit of this application is not only that it saves lives through bystander CPR, but that it also allows you to look into any fire district and their activities that are present or recently passed on your cell phone. Again, no charge, check it out and download the app, and then add your local fire protection districts that you'd like to follow. That's my plug for Pulse Point. Thank you for sharing the
And if I can second that, we use it on Positas. All the neighbors have it. We're obviously very nervous out here about any siren going up the canyon. 3/4 of the time it's an accident on 128, and we can all breathe easier for the next couple of hours. Don't have to go looking for smoke. It's really great. Everyone in a fire threat area should have this. It's fantastic.
Yeah, geographically locates where the thing is, so you can get an idea of where it is, as long as it was accurately called in. If you get you go, why, I wonder why all that smoke is coming from. You can look on your app and go, oh, looks like Sparto's got a fire located around this location. Super helpful, free, really easy to use. Thanks for sharing your screen. I appreciate it.
Yeah, and I've also got the slides up that Jonathan shared, and it's got step-by-step information in there about how to subscribe to different types of notifications, different agencies, what it looks like in there.
Yeah, great thing to put on your social media pages. If you have them, like your Facebook or whatever other social media, if you just put on some links of how to go about signing up for it, good thing to have. So I've gone well over my 2 minutes, I promise, for that meeting. So our next meeting again, November 16th, 4 to 5:30. It's a Wednesday in November. Unless we have anything else for the good of the order, we'll sign off. Last call. Thanks, everybody, for staying with us for today. You have safe travels. Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thanks, everyone.
Thank you.